Welcome to another session of my Explain series. This time I'll be chatting about cybersecurity fundamentals. My name is Jorge Pereira and I am a Workforce Transformation Solutions Principal for Dell Technology Services. We live in an interconnected world. People, companies, groups, friends, all intermingle with each other. They all interact with each other. We are constantly exposed to cyber attacks from individual hackers all the way to highly organized groups, including state sponsors, that were seeking to either grab certain information or simply seek to disrupt the organization. Attacks can vary widely, and the most common one out there is that you hear in the news is ransomware attacks. However, they range widely anywhere between malware, phishing, denial of service, distributed denial of service, man-in-the-middle attacks, rogue software, malvertising, password attacks of all kinds. Each one of these attacks is different, has a different target, it has a different end user in mind, it has a different DNA, and they can be combined with each other in order to successfully penetrate those target customers. One more thing to note is that these kinds of attacks may not be in media. Bad actors can place seeds inside organizations which will trigger, based on certain actions, much later, remote call, even though the seeds have been placed there months or years before. So what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the body of technologies, processes, and practice designed to protect networks, computers, programs, and data, key component there, data, from attacks, damage, or unauthorized access. So what are we supposed to do from this perspective? There are many kinds of multifaceted, multi-layer, and interdisciplinary pieces to protect our data and computers and networks and programs. Application security, network security, information security, device security, and operational security are all part of that group of practices that have focused on protecting those specific sections of IT infrastructure. There is key components that include disaster recovery, business resiliency, business continuity, and incident response plans. All of these needs to be underlined by the continuous end user education and awareness that these things are happening and how to identify potential threats. A good example will be, I receive an email from a friend, a very good friend, that says, "Hey, have you seen my photos?" If I didn't know any better, I would have clicked on that, and it takes me to, as an example, a very valid Facebook page, and I enter my credentials because I thought I wasn't necessarily logged on, and it was a phishing site, which looked very much like it. So if I wasn't trained in identifying those, I would have gone ahead and click on it, provided my user credentials. Then the bad actors go ahead and collect all that information, put it in a package, and sell it in the black market. All that information is easily captured by unaware and uneducated end users. So end user education is very important to that problem. In fact, there are three pillars to cybersecurity. The first one, of course, is people. People are ultimately the ones that will stop identifying those threats. Processes, what do you do with those alerts? What is it that you happen? How do I report that to somebody? How do I let know that I either click or didn't click on that? Of course, there's technologies that enable you to automatically identify and quarantine those elements. And that is what most people depend on. Most organizations, most individuals depend on. However, the true success of a good cybersecurity practice is to balance this between the knowledge of people, the knowledge of process, or the implementation of processes automated away from the technology side of the house. I know we have very good technologies, but it takes all three elements in order to make that happen. There are many frameworks, NIST, Corbett, NERC, and models like the Zero Trust model that are available out there, help organizations assess and also act on these threats, that help organizations implement all three cybersecurity elements. Some focus on compliance, some focus on maturity. So it is important to understand the most common one, and that's why I put it out there, is NIST. Now, in cybersecurity, in the ITIL frameworks, we call these incidents, not necessarily attacks. And there is events that happen prior to an incident that can alert you to the fact that an incident is happening. And this incident response plan will take effect based on what the incident. There is a lot of confidentiality and disclosure that needs to happen when an incident happens within organizations. So there's, of course, the stigma of being attacked, the loss of business, and all kinds of things that need to be included in an incident response plan. So what is the challenge at hand? The challenge at hand is, how does an IT organization discover, and what does it take to recover? That infection discovery to recovery time is what is called the dwell time. When an incident is discovered, there is a certain amount of time that is required to detect or discover an incident. That's the first part of the line there, and that is called media time to detection. Then, once it's discovered, incident recovery plan starts to happen, and then there is a media time to recover. And those two pieces are very important for the full recovery of the organization. This time, combined time, media time to detection and media time to recover, has been touted anywhere from 56 days to 150 days in past year. And today, if you look at incident recovery time or cybersecurity recovery time, you will notice, based on some studies by IBM, others, is 288 days. This is very important because it shows the sophistication of the attacks, how sophisticated these attacks have gotten from hackers and bad actors out there. That IBM report that I list in there is fascinating because it also talks about the cost of those attacks. And bottom line is the fact that these companies may be losing lots and lots of money through that process, because each day of non-functioning is a day of lost income. So very important for organizations to be able to understand. So I'm going to go a little bit into some of the terminology basics. And SIEM is a Security Information and Event Management System. That's a generic term that is being used there. It's the systems that actually provide real-time analysis of security alerts generated by the hardware or the software within an organization. So a SIEM is what is used to monitor and detect events and things. And it basically, there is logic in that SIEM to be able to automatically identify what may seem very different alert points. And then if you look at it individually, they don't mean anything. But if you look at it as an aggregate, they collect the information and they say, oh, there is a good example would be firewall got down. And then immediately after, there was 6 other servers that went down. And immediately after, 15 computers went down. So individually on an organization with 100,000 devices and several thousand servers, that may not mean anything, but indeed that combination of events can be identified, and there's no human person that will be able to identify those. So the artificial intelligence, that's where it comes along, and that's what it's able to provide, and then collect that information, make it an incident so it can be responded at. And then beyond that, be able to execute a workflow that has been agreed upon on those components. Now, continuing in terminology, the first thing I want to say is that ransomware attacks, for security experts, they are called incidents instead. The terminology associated with this is EDR versus XDR versus MDR. And these are all generic terms, just like CRM, just like ERP. Many companies are offering each of these kinds of products or services, and there are many names associated with it. So, for example, for EDR will be McAfee, CrowdStrike, Falcon. For XDR will be SecureWorks, Tegis, Palo Alto, Cisco, even Microsoft is the business of EDR and XDR. So EDR is Endpoint Detection and Response Service, which is a level up from next generation antivirus, which focuses on prevention alone. And XDR is the Extended Detection and Response System that you are going to be utilizing. Again, Endpoint focuses on endpoints. Extended collects information from all systems, network devices, application systems. It really takes a holistic approach to monitoring your environment. By the way, on each one of these response conversations, response on a EDR may be a workflow or an automated component. For example, if a device had a next generation antivirus or an EDR detection system, what it will do is if it detects a malware, what it's going to do is going to take it, not allow it to exit that quarantine area, put it in quarantine, and not allow it to exit from that point. That's an automated system. That's an automated process. That's the response. It's a workflow that you've defined. If this happens, then the system knows what to do. You can do the exact same with an extended detection and response piece. It's automated systems, workflows that you create or buy from specific vendors that in certain cases, and then you need to spend a lot of time internally in defining what those workflows will be, defining what those use cases and cases that will be. If this, and this happens, then do this, and that. So that is what the system is capable of doing. Now, MDR, Managed Detection and Response, on the other hand, is on the Managed Detection and Response, you have people that are monitoring the XDR environment because they collect the aggregation of all of those systems. And then they have people that it's monitoring and looking at the alerts and refining those based on the aggregation of all the customers that particular managed detection service is. One of the largest out there is, of course, SecureWorks. One of the largest out there is Microsoft as well. CrowdStrike is another one. Many organizations have these, and they're continuously tweaking those pieces. Now, the response side of the house is not only a workflow or automated workflow, but also is the hands-on keyboard, hands-on set. If an incident happens and you require an incident response team to be on-premise, manage that response, you will be able to have that as part of your managed detection and response service. So very important differentiator between the tools, the technology side, which is EDR, XDR, versus the MDR, where you have people that are dedicated to that pieces, while in the EDR and XDR you will be implementing a technology, and then you need to staff it with the team member versed in not only alerts and incidents and all those kinds of things, but they need to be alerted into all the different systems, hardware, because of alerts, application monitors and logs and those kinds of things that you are. So managed detection and response services is what they are tending, the world is moving to. So I have Cybersecurity Fundamentals blog post in which you are going to find more information and some reference links associated with it at my Modern EUC blog site. Additionally, please feel free to check the Dell Technologies Cybersecurity Solution website, as well as our Managed Detection and Response service. Dell Technologies Cybersecurity Services has a complete offer ranging from endpoints to data center, network, and applications. The services are aligned with the NIST cybersecurity framework. Our services range from managed detection and response services to endpoint protection, as well as virtual staff or staffing services, as well as Cyber Vault services for business resiliency and business recovery components. We also have a strong bench of cybersecurity advisory team members, and we are here ready to help. And of course, we have best of class incident response and recovery team, which can help you recover from any kind of incident out there, which is also aligned with the Zero Trust security framework, which is never trust, always verify component. We look forward to talking to you Thank you very much for listening to this session of Explained. I am Jorge Pereira. I am a Workforce Transformation Solutions Principal for Dell Technology Services.